Black Panther is the 18th or 19th. There's so many it's hard to keep track of anymore for these MCU films, and I enjoyed every single one of them. You've had some amazing movies, ones that I watch often, ones that I can quote before they even say, as an Ant-Man or the Avengers. And then you got some movies which are just okay, as in The Incredible Hulk or Thor the Dark World or Iron Man 2. But even the worst Marvel films are still a lot of fun, and they're great. Saturday, I want to watch a movie, I'll just pop in this one. Stuff your face with popcorn, have a fun time. Some are more thinking heavy, some are more action heavy. And Black Panther is one of these that they had a great mix of political discussions. You had the villain, and he had one ideology. Then you had T'Challa that had a different political ideology. And neither one had an ideology that was right or wrong. They just had ideologies which were different. And I think this makes a very great villain because he doesn't think he's the bad guy. And Eric Killmonger, he has a reason for believing what he believes, and the movie does a good job of showing you that he has a good reason for believing what he believes, while also having T'Challa, the Black Panther, and he is just crowned king after his father dies in Captain America Civil War, so he goes from prince to king. So how does this change him? And now he has to decide, what is Wakanda? What does Wakanda stand for? What is Wakanda's beliefs? And this is very enjoyable. And there are subtleties that... I saw this movie 2 times. I saw it on Friday and I went again on Sunday. In the second viewing of this, I picked up on more of these subtleties. And because I didn't go in with expectations as high as I did my first time, I had so much fun with this movie. With the Marvel movies, they take characters and they take ideas and they build on these ideas. One of the most entertaining spots of Avengers Age of Ultron was Ulysses Klaue. And Ulysses Klaue is this arms dealer. He's very much in the Black Panther lore, but I wasn't very familiar with him. Then they get Andy Serkis. Andy has one of the most memorable scenes in the movie with him losing his arm, him having this vibranium that he's smuggling out of Wakanda. He has a run-in with Ultron. He has this very memorable scene in Age of Ultron where it's like with the Scarlet Witch, and she's like messing with the people's minds. Like, you can't really mess with my minds. The only way that you can mess with my mind is if you can put a giant cuttlefish there. Cuttlefish creep me out. There's a great documentary on cuttlefish, and this guy just kind of softens the mood and just starts talking about cuttlefish all of a second. And I'm like, I love this character. And what makes Ulysses Klaue great is Andy Serkis is one of my favorite actors, but he's not a household name. But Ulysses Klaue is a villain, and because he had his hand removed in Age of Ultron, he has a vibranium arm cannon, and he's just very interesting, and he provides a lot of humor, and they do a great job of, if you've seen Age of Ultron, you know this character, but they did a great job of, if you haven't seen Age of Ultron, telling you more about the history of this character and telling you more about the history of Wakanda. And I think, although this movie is in this long line of this franchise of the MCU, it does a great job for viewers to come in it with it raw. If you have no knowledge of any of the previous films, they do a nice job of recapping the history of Ulysses Klaue. They do a great job of introducing Black Panther and T'Challa and T'Chaka and all these characters. Most of them are familiar. The only carryovers are Ulysses Klaue and T'Challa. But it does everything you want. I get to know more about the Black Panther. I get to know how he got his powers. I get to know why is he so important. But most importantly, you get to know Wakanda. And Wakanda is this place which is very rich in comic book lore. It's this very wealthy city in Africa which has the hardest metal in the world, vibranium. And vibranium has been used to make Captain America's shield, and it's been used to destroy metals, and there's a lot of different uses for this in the comic books. And they tease Wakanda for the longest time. There's a map in Iron Man 2 which shows the world, and you have New York and all the other places they've been, and then you have Atlantis and Wakanda. And then Age of Ultron, they're like, some metal's been stolen from Wakanda. So they mention that in that, and now we finally see it. And it's this advanced society because they have this rare metal that came from a meteorite, and now it's the only place it is on planet Earth is in this African city, and they use this technology that they got from this to cloak their society, so everybody thinks it's just a third world African country of farmers, but it's one of the most technologically advanced places in the world. And this movie introduces a concept, the first time on film, though there's a couple books about Afrofuturism, which is African culture and ideals and costumes and stuff, but with a futuristic sci-fi aesthetic. And this landscape of just watching this movie, this city where it takes place, is gorgeous. And this movie came out this weekend and it made $201 million, which puts it the 5th highest grossing film of all time over the opening weekend. So this film made a lot of money, and it made a lot of money because it is fantastic. It is directed by Ryan Coogler, which also directed Creed, which is one of my favorite movies. I liked Black Panther when I saw it. I gave it a 7 out of 10 when I initially saw it. But when I came back and saw it again, and I picked up on all these political issues, which they don't bat over your head, and they give you a choice of whose ideals do you think are best and whose do you think will serve Wakanda the best. And that's what makes this movie so entertaining. Now, my second viewing, I think it rose a lot. I liked it a lot better on the second viewing. I gave it a 9 out of 10, which will be my 6th favorite of the 18 MCU films. So if you haven't seen Black Panther now, I would highly recommend it. Maybe check it out this weekend.